Welcome back. Level 5 Education Lockdown. Now, last episode, I pretty much described what led me to be in that position at this level 5 school. And for those who don't know, level 5 is pretty much the last stop for juveniles before prison. And in most cases, I don't mean juvenile delinquency prisons or juvenile detention centers. I mean real prisons, adult prisons for heinous crimes that happen in these Baltimore streets. Who you think is doing all that? I'll give you a hint. It ain't all a bunch of 35-year-olds. All right? And we'll get into individual cases without me saying names really a little bit later. But before we get into that, you need to understand why the school is like that. Why it's a fucking hellhole. And a lot of people say, oh, it's the students. And a lot of times that's bullshit. A lot of times people say, oh, it's the funding. And a lot of times that's bullshit. So, you know, it's way deeper than that. All right? It's all corruption. And that's what this video is about. Corruption in the public school system, specifically at the level 5 school that I was at in Baltimore City. It's a citywide problem, but the worse the school, the worse it is. And when you go to the only level 5 school in the city, best believe it's the worst there. The corruption is the worst. The grabminess is the worst. Just the brazen thievery is the worst. Everything is the worst. So as I said in the last episode, the school was run by a private company before the city took over. The city took over because a student had his arm broken by one of the staff members, right? And so the city said, okay, we can't have that. We're going to take it over. And that's where you know, I come into play pretty much. So I'm supposed to be the PE guy, right? So remember, when the school left, the privately run school left over I guess that previous June or whenever school ended, they took everything, all their equipment, all the PE equipment, all their stuff, everything. So I show up to an empty closet, right? So they asked me, they said, hey, whatever you need, make a list, and we'll get it for you, whatever you need. And you know me, I got all the essentials: football, basketball, volleyball, soccer, all types of stuff. I think the most crazy thing I asked for was a badminton set. And at the time, they asked me, I made a list, I submitted it. They said, oh, a couple of days later, you know, right before school starts, like maybe a day or so before school starts, they said, hey, your equipment's here, come pick it up. I said, all right, cool. I go to the office. I'm like, where's the equipment? They're like, oh, it's right here. I see one cardboard box. I'm like, I don't say anything. I take the box. I take it back to the gym, which as I touched on last episode, has no AC. You know what I mean? So you gotta imagine a big brick gym in the middle of summer with no AC. Just imagine that. Imagine how it feels. Imagine how it is to breathe in there. Just to breathe. I open the box, this one box, and it's 4 basketballs. Not even the good basketballs like the Spaldings or the ones with the top flights. Not the good shit, man. It was that bright orange, rubbery bullshit that just cuts your fingers up. 4 of those. So at the time, I'm shocked. I'm like, man, this is all they got for the whole year. Like they're bugging. Like this is not gonna work. At the time, I didn't know. I assumed, oh, there must not be any funds. I didn't know at the time that each child was designated $50,000 per child, because it's a special ed school. It's a level 5 school, so everyone is like termed like emotionally disturbed, this and that. They all have records, this and that. So it's considered a special ed school, so they're supposed to get more money than any other school. I found that out when I went to a neighboring high school to pick up some equipment that they gave us. She looked at me like I was crazy. She's like, you have more money than everybody else. I'm like, I don't know. I had just got the job. It's paying like $50K. I'm not causing no problems. I'll be honest with you. So I go back. It turns out I write a grant, which I've never done. I fill out a form for a grant for a company, a nonprofit organization that came by and gave us equipment. I had to go through an employee at another elementary school to get a volleyball set. I had to bring my son's football in. My son had 2 footballs. He was like, at the time, he was like 2 or 1 maybe. He was really young. He had 2 footballs. a bright red one, and a blue one. I brought those. You understand what I'm telling you right now? I brought footballs from my house for my son because that we had no equipment, and I didn't get my first paycheck yet, so I couldn't even go get something, right? You know, even though the principal was probably making like 90,000, you know, easy before the skimming. But anyways, we're gonna get to that. So we have nothing, and this whole time, and not only that, half of the lights on the ceiling in the gymnasium are out. It was a quarter, then it went to a half, and then it went to like 60, 70%. It was hot, it was dark, there was no equipment. I need you to visualize that. Walk into a gymnasium that looks like no one's even there. It looks like the lights are off. It looks like only one corner of lights are on. That's it. There's doors that they can open up, but they keep them padlocked for security reasons. A, it's across the street from the projects in Baltimore City. B, these kids are flight risks. I mean, shit can get dangerous real fast, as you'll find out, real fast. So we can't even open these doors, and even if I could, it'd just be nothing but hot air. So they gave us these big fans. They're like, hey, here's a fan. I'm like, my man, what is a fan gonna do in a big gymnasium with no AC, with the doors closed? What's that gonna do other than piss me off and be loud? And this is an environment that students are supposed to learn in and have fun in, and they can't even change. Turns out they can't even change for PE. They have to stay in their clothes in this auditorium, in this hellhole. So, but at the time, remember, I thought it was just lack of funding. I didn't know. Even when the woman told me at the other school, when she gave me equipment, that we had more money than everybody else, I was like, okay. I mean, I didn't know if she was right or not. The fuck? I didn't know. I damn sure didn't know that every student had $50,000 to set aside for each student. There's only like 70 students in the whole school, 70, 75. These are the kids who just, they needed the most. The last shot before prison. The last shot before they put somebody in the grave. Which a couple of them ended up doing. We'll get into that. The last stop before someone puts a bullet in their brain. And we'll also get into that. I need you to understand that this corruption at this school led to the death and the suffering of kids. I need you to understand what I'm saying. And that's facts. And we're going to get into that. But there's a lot of build up. And I'm not cutting any corners. This is my documentation of what happened, because people need to understand where the taxpayers' money are going. And whatever state they're in, trust me, there's a place like that in there. So, that's one side, right? I knew that, okay, there's no money. I didn't know the level of corruption at the time. Moving forward. Like I said, this type of school, right? A level 5 school in this city, in this public school system that no one cares about, the worst school in that system, you can do what you want. You're going to get away with it. It's just like a warden at a prison in the middle of a max security prison in the middle of nowhere. He could do what he wants. As long as the CO is cool with it, everyone's cool with it, it's all good. Everything's going to fly. Anything goes. Literally anything. And I'm talking about kids, but I'm dead serious. So, when the principal took over, obviously, she brought some of her cohorts or her friends, quote unquote, whatever, to be part of her administration at this school, except the vice principal. And like I said in the last episode, he's the one that really got me at that school, except the vice principal. He wasn't in that circle. But all the teachers, a lot of them were just lower paid, like different agencies. Cause no certified teacher wants to work there. A lot of the teachers, though, weren't on her team. I mean, meaning they didn't come with her there. She had just met them. Not many of them, but a few. One of them in particular was a white guy. He would drive every morning from Washington, D.C. He was a certified teacher, a certified history teacher with multiple degrees. He would drive every day from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore City to help teach these children. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, but he's not part of her crew. He's a legit teacher, straight arrow, the way you're supposed to be. So he has an observation, I guess. An observation is when your principal comes in once out of 2 times in a year and observes you and pretty much writes down what kind of teacher you are based on one of 2 observations in an entire school year, which is an insult in itself, but that's a whole other story. So she comes in for his observation. So he's teaching a class while she's watching. He's teaching a lesson. She, by law, is supposed to be in this teacher's observation the entire period. The entire period. So she comes in for about 10 minutes. And he doesn't even have the proper equipment because the wires are missing. They never got him the proper projector to even do, but he's still doing it. He's doing it by hand on a chalkboard, old school. She stays there for 5 minutes and leaves. He gets an observation report back. He gets the lowest of all grades. He was ranked the lowest of all the rankings. How can you do that when you weren't even there for the lesson? Probably because you don't want them there anymore, right? And you're probably, you're doing some gangster shit. Some mafia shit now. True story. So he doesn't even say anything. I mean, he's a first-year teacher. He's nervous. But he knows something's not right. The same teacher, he goes out he misses a week of school because he has a kidney infection or something. He had documentation. When he gets back, he is called to the office and she writes him up. And she says that you've been absent too many days. And she even forward marked the date that hasn't even occurred yet. It was like the next month. That was like a third of the month that hasn't even happened yet. And she thought he wouldn't read this and just sign it. He read it. She didn't know that his father was one of the biggest people in the union. She fucked up and she didn't even know. But mafia shit. The observation. The writing them up for no reason. They're always giving him a hard time. Tactics to get this guy out of there. Why? Because if you do some shady shit around this guy, he's probably going to say something. Because he actually cares about the kids. That's why. So, that's going on. He's telling me this stuff, and I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on. Like that's fucking crazy. And she's actually the opposite with me. I don't know, because she looked at me, she thought I could do it. Or she thought she was, I don't know what she thought I was. She thought maybe because I was from Gwynnoke, which is on the western side of the city, that I'll be somehow down with her shit, maybe. She would do little sneaky things like during a meeting, she'd try to give me a massage in front of everybody. See, what she was doing was prison tactics, mafia tactics. She was buttering me up. She was trying to get me on her team. So when it came down to do dirt, I'd be with her. And she did the exact opposite of the people that she ain't like to get them out of there. She badgers this guy so much. To the point, this is the craziest thing. I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud. She calls this guy into the office one time. Same guy, same teacher I'm talking about. And she goes, according to, some information I received, we have information that you're bringing drugs from the community and giving them to the kids. Do you understand me? This is the accusation she made to this man in his face. And of course, he's like, no, what are you talking about? Absolutely not. And how does she reply? With the most Tony Soprano answer. Oh, I know you didn't do it. I just heard and I just wanted to bring it to your attention. So if you knew he didn't do it, why would you say it? Why would you even bring it up? Because you're trying to force him out. You're trying to make him as uncomfortable as possible. You fucked his observation. You wrote him up after he came back from a week-long stay of having a kidney infection with documentation. Then you accused him of bringing drugs to school. Corruption. So with a couple weeks left of that school year, fast forward in his situation, he leaves. He says, I can't take it anymore. I'm out of here, man. I'm out. He didn't finish the school year. The kids liked him. He was a good teacher. He was a young teacher. The type of teacher that you want. And race has nothing to do with it. I need you to understand that. A lot of people think that race has nothing to do with it. White teacher, black teacher, Spanish teacher. If you're good, you're good, and the kids are gonna like you. They're gonna fuck with you. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. So far we have pretty much my whole PE thing getting sabotaged because no one gives a fuck. Just throw them a basketball. That's what they want to play. Just give them a basketball. Fuck them. Just give them a basketball. Just whatever it takes to keep them other little animals quiet. Throw them a basketball. But that's what you say when you order someone for the cheapest basketballs. So we have that, and then we have her sabotaging this young teacher's entire career, who now teaches in Prince George's County at some high school doing his thing. The kids who needed it most, the level 5, this is level 5, all right? Level 5. The next step for a lot of these kids is the graveyard, and it was. And the prison, max prison for life, and it was. How do you even respond to something like this? How do you respond? We had ample funds to take these children somewhere. There's only 70 kids to a ball game or something. The private school that was there before us, the kids were still there. The staff was gone, but it was the same kids. And they told us, hey, we used to go all different types of places. Do all different types of things. So it turns out the reason how I found out that there was a $50,000 set aside per student is because they had a news segment about it later on after I finished working there. They said they had a $4 million budget. $4 million. And there's not even one laptop for every student. There's only 70 students. Where is the money? Where? That's called a racket. Straight scamming on the lives of children who need it most, who have nothing. I would have students come in my office with no parents, telling me how much they care for me, telling just talking to me. Hey man, my mom's a crackhead. Like just telling me stories. Imagine a child coming to you and just telling you because he trusted you so much that his mom's a crackhead. And this child's 14 years old with down near kidney failure because all he ate his whole life was honey buns because no one gave a fuck about him. Facts. These are the type of students that all they got is a cousin with a gun waiting for them. Hey, fuck school. Let's go kill some motherfuckers. This is Baltimore, baby. This is Baltimore. They said in 2019, if Baltimore City had New York City's murder rate, we would only have 21 murders instead of 300 plus. A town of 500,000 people is nothing. It's small. Murder everywhere. You can't even drive to that school without passing 4 or 5 balloon memorials. This is the environment. I need you to breathe. I need you to see it. I need you to understand, man. These kids are coming to this school. This is their last hope. And they're getting fucked to the very end by the level of corruption going on at this school. You need to understand, all right? And it was the same principal that would come in late all the time, sneaking in through the gymnasium. And you think people liked her? Huh? And I'll tell you why the vice principal wasn't there. Because he peeped the whole play. And during a meeting, he took his walkie-talkie and he threw it and he slammed it. He said, I'm through with this shit. And he walked out. Because he knew from the jump. He said, I can't work with this motherfucker. And he left. The dude who brought me in. So who you think took his place? Who you think she hired to take his place as a person right underneath the principal? One of her old friends. He happened to be a transvestite. He dressed like a woman, and she wanted to be known as Mrs. So-and-so. But the principal would still call her Mr. So-and-so, disrespectfully on purpose. I need you to understand that. We had an award ceremony at the end of the year for some high school kids. One of the kids was caught smoking weed outside the school months before that. Who cares? Do you know the certification that this kid got? The most likely to what? And this is signed by the principal. His certification said the best smoker. The best smoker. You know why she did that? Because she could. Because no one gave a fuck. Because no parents even came to the thing. Nobody was there. It was an auditorium full of nobody but besides the kids. You might as well be in a maximum security fucking prison in fucking somewhere. Upstate somewhere. That's what it was like. She gave a child an award that said Best Smoker Award. Corruption. Before we even get to the kids, you need to know about the corruption, about the situation that they were in. She didn't give a fuck about them. She did nothing for them. They had a $4 million budget. They took everything. She came in with fresh clothes all the time. The whole front office was woo. The whole office was woo. Fresh, dripping. Yeah. While the kids are sitting in the dark in the gymnasium. And I'm trying to help them feel better when they say, hey man, don't give a fuck about us. We don't have lights in this bitch. We don't even have lights in this bitch. Fucking AC is hot as shit. It's hot as shit. You could afford some real fans, some good shit, but you didn't. You let them and me and everybody burn. That's why I'm making these videos. And this is just number 2. I got a lot. This is all documentation for people to see the truth of what's happening, man. And people say a lot of these outside fucking politicians, Democrats, fucking Republicans, all that bullshit, we don't know what the fuck is going on. They say shit like, oh, the governor should give them more money. They don't give a fuck about them because they're black kids. No one gives a fuck, which is partly true. On my mama. But you need to understand, it's not a money problem. It's a thievery problem. And I know it goes all the way up to the school, quote-unquote, CEO. That's a fact. Same Baltimore City school system had a $160 million budget deficit. How the fuck do you get that? Like, and you want the governor to what? Give y'all more money? And like I said, I'm not even political. And the governor is Republican, so people might say, oh, he must just be one of these alt-right. That's what one person told me one time when I said, they said, oh, you alt-right? You don't like black kids having stuff? I'm like, what? You never even been where the fuck I've been. Not one day, let alone 3 years. It's not a funding issue in many cases. They're still in the money because no one gives a fuck. No one cares. This is just Baltimore City. I'm sure everywhere, in the worst of the worst, this is happening. They're taking it. And I can't really speak for everywhere, but I'm sure this ain't the only place. Like, for example, is there only one maximum security prison that has crooked correctional officers in the country, you think? If it happens there, it happens in other similar situations that are similar, places that people don't give a fuck. This wasn't somewhere that had a PTA. There was no fucking PTA. There was nothing. All there was you buzz the door, you come in, you go through a metal detector, and that's it. Don't say shit. You get patted down twice. Yeah. And I got some stories to tell y'all. But before I do that, you need to understand why the kids was like this. They peeped the play. They understood. The kids aren't stupid. They know when people don't give a fuck about them. Especially grades 6 through 12. They need it the most. We didn't give a fuck about these kids. And in turn, we lost a lot of them to the streets, to murder. To getting murdered or murdering somebody brutally. Raping. I got stories to tell y'all. But it all comes down to this. This is the root. The corruption is the root. And it has to be the first shit I say. It's gotta be the first shit I say. Because this shit is important, man. Real kids died. Real kids are doing life. Maximum security prison at 16 years old. Life. And I wish I could say their name, but I'm not going to. Life in prison, 16. Because the school failed you blatantly. That's a fact. That's a fact. That was a place of hope. And guess what it was? It was a place of fucking darkness and death and letdown. And a slap in the face of these kids who had nothing. Nothing. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about today, man. The fucking corruption. Alright, get the root of the problem out. And please don't point fingers and assume you know shit. Ask me. And if you like this, please share and please fucking like and subscribe. And give me some feedback. And I can give you feedback right back. I know you guys got questions, man. This level 5 public schools is not just a Baltimore thing. This is a nationwide thing. And I want to have in the future, when I have the capability, is have people come on. Teachers, ex-teachers, or ex-staff members from other schools. You don't know what happens in these schools. The assaults on staff, the assaults on students, prison type behavior, sexual shit, everything. You need to understand on the journey we're going on. But before I got there, we have to start. I can't just give you everything at once, because you need to understand what the fuck is really going on. So I hope everyone out there listening. Hope y'all safe. I appreciate y'all taking the time. This is Level 5 Education Lockdown. We'll see you next time.